This is Reality Dispatch by Jim Minns.
Isaac stepped slowly up to the wooden door, wary of its occupants. He tiptoed, for he did not want his vicinity noted by those inside. Being sure to keep his distance whilst still performing his duty, he drenched the horsehair brush as deep into the bucket of red paint as the strands could hold. He wanted enough of the red ink so that he could mark the symbol on the door with one stroke of the wrist. This was to avoid him having to dip multiple times and paint the wood. The less effort was desired. He panicked as the seconds ticked away. He needed to hurry, his proximity never leaving his mind. Not that anything was an assurance in such times, especially punctuality. Death did not discriminate between those who plundered their minutes and those who enjoyed them. Death would just take those who were stupid enough to be standing nearby. Be that for a minute, a second or an hour. Earlier that day he had assisted in removing bodies of decayed young ones whose decrepit remains were so worn, one could be mistaken into thinking they were the torsos of the elderly. The Black Death was hinted of. He knew of it from teachings of the town's folk. It was a remnant of his childhood. This was its dreaded return, and it was happening in his lifetime, killing his family. Isaac was taught to believe that it existed due to the will of animals. He once saw a dog with 3 legs dancing to the jig of a fiddler. The animal moved with unnatural rhythm, as if it was attempting to showcase its reincarnation of a species known to excel in the arts from a prior existence. This was one of many absurd instances of canine behavior that Isaac was sure lead to the influx of the dead. The city was deserted. Not even the king remained. The paint spilt from the bucket and drenched his left leg, leaving it the appearance of a bloody mess. He swore to himself. His kerchief suffocating his every intake of oxygen that somehow existed amongst the haze of excrement pollution. He dared not remove the only barrier that separated his lungs from the death in the air. He made one stroke with his left hand. The paint was bright, his panic subsided. He needed to complete the X with another stroke, but he heard the lock click on the other side of the timber. He froze. The lock continued to wriggle. Someone was exiting, and they would come face to face. Breath to breath. He needed to leave, but his painted warning was incomplete. If he survived the following week, he would be safe in Oxford with the king nearby. Wherever the crown lay, safety was surely to follow. Although nothing was guaranteed in such times. The latch of the lock finally separated and Isaac walked away from his incomplete task. The door only partially lit red with blood. A signal he hoped would spell warnings to passers-by. He hoped his warning would suffice. But deep down, he did not care.
For more fact-based fiction, head to jimminns.substack.com.